everybody, welcome to the Dreamer's Edge podcast. I'm sitting with...
Chris, subtitling editor and writer for the Dreamer's Edge.
Francois, who is a librarian and part-time collaborator.
And I'm Dimitri, webmaster of thedreamersedge.com and movie critic. And I almost forgot my name there for a second. It's weird.
I am.
And today what we're doing our annual Oscar Whiner podcast. That's the 2013 edition.
We have a lot to whine about.
Yeah, I think so. The world having not ended and all, we're
Yeah.
Caught unawares at some
I
point.
blew all my savings for no reason.
And I'm disappointed that I'm actually going to sit through Seth MacFarlane actually hosting the thing.
All I have to say is I'm kind of holding out for Quagmire. All right.
Anywho, so what we're going to do for this episode, we're going to go run through the major categories. We're going to skip a lot of them because, honestly, we just don't care.
Yeah. Come on. Who are we kidding?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Let's not go right into the major one, but let's go pretty top. We'll go leading actor. So for leading actor, we've got Bradley Cooper in Silver Linings Playbook, Daniel Day-Lewis in Lincoln, Hugh Jackman in Les Miserables, Joaquin Phoenix in The Master, and Denzel Washington in Flight.
I'd love it for Brad Cooper to get some love. I actually thought he was really, really good in Silver Linings Playbook. But I think that it's Denzel Washington's this one. I mean, like, as much as it's shocking that Daniel Day-Lewis might not walk away with it for once, but I think it would be Denzel Washington's. The Flight has gotten a lot of buzz, and it's always about his performance and nothing else, because the script is kind of thin.
Yeah, no, I think Lincoln's going to do well in other categories, and it's certainly the, coming out of the Golden Globes and a lot of the other award shows already, it's already getting the attention, so I think it's going to get its service there for sure. Joaquin Phoenix, in my mind, I'm not sure if everyone likes him again yet, after his whole avant-garde thing. So I think he's going to... He's going to have...
He faked it.
He faked it, but was everyone in on the joke? I think the people who weren't in on the joke might kind of be thinking he's a bit of an ass. I don't know. I think the part was interesting. Certainly it was a movie made of just performances, and his was amazing in it. Bradley Cooper, you're right. Glad he's getting the nod here. I don't think he necessarily deserves it. For me, it's Denzel Washington as well. It's not a great film. It's not a perfect film in any way, but it was just a really good adult drama. And he plays the part well. It's a very conflicted character, and I liked it a lot,
Absolutely.
I will say that I liked Flight. I liked Denzel in it. I thought it was somewhat of an uncommon performance for him. I mean, he's a leading actor. I'm not sure if I should go into a heavy spoiler alert, but let's just say that the character disappoints, not the actor playing the character. The character himself is a flawed character, deeply flawed character.
Yeah, I think we get that out of the trailer, though, so it's fine.
Well, to a certain extent, but I mean, like, he really, as the movie progresses, it goes in a direction which you might not necessarily expect if you're hoping for the happy-go-lucky sort of typical Hollywood hero fare overcomes adversity type of thing. Like, there are a number of flaws. Like, I think Denzel is really good in it, but I will say that I have no doubt that Daniel Day-Lewis is going to walk away.
Really?
I think he is a major towering figure. Whenever he goes for an Oscar, he's hard to stop. I think he's the heavyweight, and I think he's going to walk away with it. And particularly playing a figure like Lincoln. Let's face it. I mean. It does take a lot to really bring something new to the role, and I think he does.
I agree. I just think that his vampire hunting was a little bit unconvincing. So
come on, the whole fighting style. It really, if you look at it, I mean, he wouldn't have been using those moves then because
totally, man. And wire work wasn't invented in 1865.
There you go. Moving on to the next category, Chris.
Okay, well, let's just since we were kind of touching on some of the bigger ones, we'll jump right away to directing. So we've got Amour, Beasts of the Southern Wild, Life of Pi, Lincoln, and Silver Linings Playbook. The choice for me is really it's split between two. I would like to go with Life of Pi because I don't know if it's going to win as much as it should, and I think it was a good job overall. And everything that Ang Lee does do, I just want to support. He really does kind of reinvent himself with every project.
Including the Hulk.
including the Hulk. I
I
love the Hulk. You know,
I prefer the first Hulk to the second Hulk.
Oh yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Okay, phew.
But Michael Haneke's Amour for me was just. It was a gut-wrenching but beautiful film to watch, and it's very unlike a lot of his stuff, which is a little bit in your face and challenging. In this way, almost as much so. It's just like you're watching basically one snapshot of a life, and just through the small details, you just see something great, and it's really just coming to a close. And it's just, then everything does come to a close, but you're forced to kind of go with it, you know? And there's not necessarily a happy ending, but you're happy that they've had these years together. And you know that they've had them, you're not watching them, but you're watching this other part of the life, you know? And it's just, it was handled with such delicacy, and I loved the film.
Obviously, I think Lincoln, again, is sort of a kind of the heavyweight, more like Spielberg. Maybe he's flying in on name recognition. Well, I mean, they all are to a certain extent, but Spielberg is hard to ignore. Even though Life of Pi is the black horse, I think I would definitely give it to Ang Lee, and I think he's going to get it. There's something about that movie that just... I mean, I remember when the trailer was released, it was like, 7 minutes? Which was a bit... And it just... It captures your attention. Like, that says something about storytelling to a certain extent. Like, and it's also almost a mini story, a mini trailer. Like, you rarely see that. And it's almost like it's actually an entire sequence. Like, Ang Lee did something. He is an incredibly talented director.
I actually think Spielberg's going to win it because, it is the race between Ang Lee and Steven Spielberg. And the thing is, Steven Spielberg's movie Lincoln is about politics and the coming together of two different parties, which is something that's really relevant in the United States right now. And so that's going to give him the advantage. And
plus it's not Warhorse, so everyone's going to be like, thank God.
But about Ang Lee, though, as much as I think he did a phenomenal job overall with Life of Pi, there is one criticism I have with him as a director. You get a second version of certain events in that part of the movie, and he decides to tell it instead of showing it. And I think that shows a certain, he stacks the deck in the favor of
one version.
Perspective.
You're right. Yeah.
And I think that's a bad choice.
Yeah, no, it's true. And that was my problem with a little bit some of the framing choices, but I do think you're right. I think this is really going to be Spielberg's year. All right, we're coming up to visual effects. The nominees are, in a non-random order, The Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey, Life of Pi, Marvel's The Avengers, Prometheus, and Snow White and the Huntsman.
I would love for Prometheus to get some love on that. I think it's a slightly underrated movie, even if an imperfect one. But in terms of the special effects, I mean, this is what Ridley Scott does well. He uses his special effects team and really showcases their work to the maximum. And Prometheus is gorgeous, amazing to watch. Having said that, Life of Pi made the tiger look pretty freaking awesome.
That's a pretty realistic tiger, yeah, for sure. And a character, really.
It was the coolest tiger since Kung Fu Panda.
Just about the only good thing about Prometheus, in my opinion, was the special effects. And not so much just shots of spaceships, but the way technology was integrated. The vision, what it would look like. I mean, it's again, we don't know what technology is going to look like in 80 years, give or take, but it's still interesting to see speculation on that front. Avatar had some really interesting approaches to that. Same thing with Prometheus. Lord of the Rings is the other big heavyweight, and I'm kind of leaning towards them just because I like those broad shots of Middle Earth.
For me, I think The Hobbit is just such a bloated thing that I don't want to give it any credit for anything. Prometheus, I would certainly have voted for, but the fact that Guy Pearce's aging makeup is so horrible.
Does that go into visual effects or into makeup?
I think it's actually under makeup, but it's just like, in my mind, it's part of the visual landscape. Okay. You know, so I don't know where to draw the line. You know what I mean? So it does take it away.
Well, you might say the holographic old Guy Pearce.
You're right. You know, so it's all visual.
Maybe it's a bit of a reach.
So I think I would actually go Life of Pi on this one.
Yeah.
You know, it was a difficult thing to do, but
the novelty of a tiger character that's so realistic, and again, like a character.
Well, and it's a good use of 3D. You know what I mean? And that's part, in my mind, it's a visual effect in this choice. You know what I mean?
The 3D is spectacular in Life of Pi. You're right. There's this amazing shot of where the sea and the sky meld into each other, and the only way you can tell them apart is through the illusion of 3D, and that's really gutsy.
Yeah,
that is amazing.
Yeah, if we're gonna give, if we're gonna reward innovation and something, like, oh man, I've been swayed. Life of Pi, I changed my mind.
Well, since we're talking about special effects, let's go straight into animated feature then.
Brave, Frankenweenie, Paranorman, the Pirates, Bands of Misfits, and well,
which one didn't you see?
Yeah, well, the exclamation point threw me off. And Wreck-It Ralph. Guys, Pixar can do no wrong. Brave for me.
Really?
Well,
I think that's their weakest film.
I was
going to
say it's really. I
love the Scottish. It was about time that we had a powerful female main character.
But is she a powerful female character? Because she's a whiny brat who puts two kingdoms in danger because she's too much of a whiny brat. And not only that, it's one of those notches.
And then it's really cruel to her mother.
Yeah.
It's really like
But really, she shoots arrows in slow-mo.
Yeah, but we have Katniss for that.
And and then half the other characters are either just farts or smiley faces or they don't even speak. There's actually less caricature or in terms of character development, you know what I mean, in this Pixar production than in anything I've ever seen by them. It's amazing.
And it's also, it's one of those things, if you're going to take the female empowerment angle, this is yet another movie that says that for young girls to feel empowered, they have to act like boys. And that, to me, is actually a fake productive message.
Okay.
But more importantly, I have seen Brother Bear before.
Brother Bear. The world's worst trailer. Just makes my hair stand up on the end. I think my choice for this one, because Nick's not here, I will say Wreck-It Ralph.
Well, I think John Lasseter is the one that can do no wrong as opposed to Pixar.
Wreck-It Ralph was to anybody who's grown up in the 80s, and is familiar with the video game culture of that time, there is a measure of I don't know, it was interesting.
If it were up to me, I'd love for Paranorman to get some love. I thought the animation in it was gorgeous. I thought the story in it was, in its way, daring, because this was a true horror story for kids, and it didn't flinch. It put the character in genuine danger, and some of the themes it explores about intolerance and how it's driven by fear and how that's a vicious circle is actually portrayed in a way that's not condescending to kids or doesn't feel like a platitude. It feels like, no, your actions have real consequences in that universe.
I was really surprised with that one. Okay, let's jump up to supporting actress. We've got Amy Adams in The Master, Sally Field in Lincoln, Anne Hathaway in Les Miserables, Helen Hunt in The Sessions, and Jackie Weaver in Silver Linings Playbook.
I'm sorry, but if Anne Hathaway doesn't win this, I will give everyone $5. Come on.
She will totally win.
And it's well deserved. Out of the people in that category, I would have gone with Anne Hathaway as well. She has a very, very, very small role in Les Miserables.
Yeah, but the supporting actress or actor role has been long marked. It's not a question of time; it's a question of impact to the film.
And that's exactly where I was going with it. She has a very, very small amount of screen time, but you remember that character for the rest of the movie, and she's sort of emblematic of what that movie is. She is phenomenal.
That being said, I sort of liked Sally Field in Lincoln. I don't think she's going to win the Oscar, but I think her performance is certainly a very good one. I mean,
Oh yeah, no, I do like her. I really like her.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm going to go with Amy Adams in this one. I think she was really phenomenal in The Master. She was actually probably my favorite part.
Wow.
So,
okay.
I have to say that Amy Adams is often my favorite part of a lot of things. I like watching her on screen.
She was really good. I don't know how many times I don't know what kind of actress she's going to really develop into. You know what I mean? But in this role, I thought it was a really interesting choice, and it was a really interesting character. It was more her drama that I was actually watching, and it's as she's trying to negotiate between these two male characters, and she's kind of in the middle, and there's this power play, and it was my favorite part of the movie was just watching her. Now we're going to go into leading actress. So we've got Jessica Chastain in Zero Dark 30, Jennifer Lawrence in Silver Linings Playbook, Emmanuel Riva in Amour,
Gavenzani Wallace.
Thank you.
in Beasts of the Southern Wild. And rounding off the category, Naomi Watts in The Impossible. I think it's going to be Chastain for Zero Dark 30. I'll tell you why, because torture is popular right now.
She doesn't actually do the torturing. She just witnesses it and
exploits it for. But that too. But
no, she's really good, and I actually think it's hers to lose. For my money, I'd love for it to be Jennifer Lawrence. I think she's been consistently good throughout her very career.
She's interesting choices. A couple of franchises with very some smaller movies, and she certainly deserves it.
And she carries that movie. Like, a lot of people are making a big deal out of De Niro just because he's for once not playing De Niro, but she actually drives the movie. She has a full character that makes us laugh, makes us cry, and all the while feels smarter than everyone else in the movie, while at the same time being completely damaged. Like, and it's a complex performance and a very charismatic one.
She's an actress who has a lot of promise. I just hope that she doesn't get sucked into too many large franchises to the point where she becomes damaged goods.
Well, it's always dangerous when you associate yourself with a young adult series. I mean, let's face it. Twilight will have destroyed Kristen Stewart's career for a while, and she was actually a promising young actress at the time.
Yeah, no, I kind of think it's going to be Jessica Chastain in this one. It would actually be great if it was Kizvasny Wallace.
She's for her to be the youngest one.
It's amazing that she was as good as she was. She was really the thing that held the movie together, and I wanted to watch her story the whole way through, which is pretty much what Jessica Chastain does.
Yes,
but just with a different production value and a different story, and but I believed both of them is what it comes down to, and the fact that this younger kid, with likely no or very little training, sucked me in and just made me believe, it was amazing. She really, I believed that world almost right away. Supporting actor. We've got Alan Arkin in Argo, Robert De Niro in Silver Linings Playbook, Philip Seymour Hoffman in The Master, Tommy Lee Jones in Lincoln, and Christoph Waltz in Django Unchained.
Christoph Waltz was amazing in Django Unchained. I think the movie is super entertaining just because of his presence, and the rest of the movie is actually kind of iffy. But I don't think he's going to get it. I think there's too much controversy associated with Django Unchained, not just about the tact that Tarantino has taken with slavery, but just the fact that does anyone really want to honor Tarantino any more than he already honors himself?
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. Unlike Spielberg, this is really Spielberg's Oscars to lose or win. I think people want to honor him. With Tarantino, I think people are just kind of sick of him. Yeah, at a certain level, he's so
with good
smug.
Reason, in my opinion. I also I loved Christoph Waltz in Django Unchained. The only thing I loved about the movie, I thought the rest of the movie was I did not like that movie. I'm sorry. I think Tommy Lee Jones, despite his performance at the Golden Globes, will actually walk away with it. But I will say that Seymour Hoffman probably will give him a run for his money. He might be the black horse in that race. Unless, of course, people just decide that De Niro not playing De Niro is worth...
I don't get the love he's getting for this. I thought he was just he was there.
Yeah. No, I don't find this one's that much different than, what's the one, Meet the Fockers. You know what I mean? He's basically playing a curmudgeon guy who's, difficult to get to know. I don't know. Yeah. And he does it well. He's got this face I'd like to look at, and it's fine. But I agree with you. I don't think it's going to go to Christoph Waltz. I think his performance was really good, and probably one of the more well-written characters in the movie, in my mind. But it really was a movie built on good performances with kind of a bad story, and is kind of what it comes down to. So there are some other really good performances in it by the men.
Yes, the women in that movie. Ooh. Waste of Kerry Washington.
Exactly. And so I think for me, and I'm going to go back to The Master again. It's just so I keep kind of digging into in these choices, because I don't think it's going to win enough But I think it's probably going to be Philip Seymour Hoffman in this one. I think he's actually going to
he's going to win
I don't
by a
know.
nose.
I think by a nose. Because in terms of supporting, like he's there. It's like it's his movie. He could almost be the lead in that one, and I think he deserves it.
Category generator. Boop, 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 beep, boop, boop, boop.
Let's go to original screenplay.
Oh, is it in there really?
Yeah. So we've got Amour, Django Unchained, Flight, Moonrise Kingdom, and Zero Dark 30.
Wow. This category was actually quite a disappointment. Most of the nominees, I would not agree. I actually think Zero Dark 30, the screenplay, is. I mean, it's there because it's a complicated screenplay. You know, like who's there and who's what and who are we finding here and what, and that's why it's there. But it's the sort of movie that I don't want to see more of. It's a movie that's very careful not to tip on anyone's toes politically, and if you come out of the movie and you can make up your own mind, but not because the filmmakers don't have a message they're trying to convey. It's just because they're so afraid of offending anyone and getting misinterpreted, which it did anyway.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like I don't want any more of that. It's a screenplay made by very, very smart and talented people who are acting very reactively and being very scared. And I don't want to see more of that. So I don't want to celebrate it for that reason.
So just to have a quick discussion then. So do you think its spot could have been replaced?
If I had to replace the spot, I would have put Ruby Sparks there, which I thought was such an interesting, challenging screenplay that went into places that a lot of screenwriters are afraid to go into. Start with a light romantic comedy and go into such a dark place without it feeling gratuitous, without feeling exploitive, and just taking it to a situation to its dark, logical end in a way that feels not rewarding, but really hurtful, but not exploitive.
Yeah, I didn't really like that movie as much as I thought I would. And I guess if we're going to do the bait and switch, if you would put that there, the one I would have put there that in my mind I kind of put on the same shelf and it's not an original screenplay, it would have been adapted, but it would have been Perks of Being the Wallflower. Which I don't think is anywhere, and I think it should have been. And that was the one for me that kind of got that same sense of like, it could have easily gone one place, and it was really interestingly handled. And I haven't read the book though, so I was allowed to kind of be surprised as I went through it. And it was a really well done film. I don't know.
If I were to pick a winner, though, out of the ones that
let's just keep saying movies that aren't in this
category. The only one that I think deserves to be in that category, and therefore the one I'm going to pick, is Moonrise Kingdom. It's Wes Anderson at his best. It's essentially Wes Anderson doing his quirky shtick, but finding the right point of view characters for his shtick to feel natural and for the story to move you, because he has sort of this quirky innocence to him, and attaching that to a coming of age story is perfect.
Yeah. This is exactly where we're going to agree.
I'm joining the chorus. I love Wes Anderson. I mean,
I don't know if I always love him. But, but he is. You know what I mean? He's here the same way Tarantino should be here. He is a modern auteur. You know what I mean? Like whatever. He's got a certain style. He's got a certain vision. But in this one, he crystallized it, and it came out amazing. Yeah. I loved it.
I've discovered Wes Anderson fairly recently, to be honest, like only the last few years. But he speaks to me on a level that a lot of other directors don't, and he's able to do that in several instances, like in different movies. It just he taps into something. I don't know what it is, but he's really great. Like really really underrated. He doesn't have that many Oscars to his credit, unfortunately.
No,
and he really deserves more. So I hope he gets it for this one.
All right. So from original screenplay, let's go quickly to adapted screenplay. So here we do have Argo. We've got Beasts of the Southern Wild, Life of Pi, Lincoln, and Silver Linings Playbook.
I think Lincoln's gonna get it. I don't think Life of Pi should get it, although I'm pretty sure that's the runner-up. And again, I mean, like, I'm going to show my definite preference for Silver Linings Playbook once again. I think that was a very well adapted screenplay. I thought what it is that this is a genre movie. This is a romantic comedy, and the movie plays into the romantic comedy tropes very well. But a bit like Love Actually does, sort of reorients them left and right, just like nudges them to make them smart and to sort of go just slightly in a different, more realistic way, left and right, make things feel a bit more messier and imperfect, and it's just those subtle touches while still staying within the genre of the romantic comedy, which is reputed for being dumb as crap.
Yeah, for sure. It's not like it's got a good reputation.
And still maintaining that template without ever disrespecting it, but just reorienting it. I would like the Academy to reward that.
I don't know if they will. I honestly I think it's going to be Life of Pi for this one.
I think so too. You said that you don't think it deserves it. Why?
I think this is a movie that's better directed than it is written. To be honest, I think.
But it's a hard one to write. A movie where there's not necessarily.
I think they are going to recognize the fact that it's a challenge. It's
exactly
stuck in one place. How did they go about it? How did they recreate it to actually adapt well to a different form? I think
it's
Hollywood
very
loves Hollywood loves stories about itself and stories about stories, and like Hugo and everyone. I think it's going to get it. Here if not other places.
And there's just a few touches here and there where I think the movie lost some opportunities, I guess. And I think it comes more from the fact that I actually really, really love the source material. I thought the book was really, really engaging, especially the first 3 or 4 chapters, which is where the movie sort of what the movie sort of botches. Like, it has, the romantic story about the girl he falls in love with when he's a teenager, without going into more spoilers, and it's sort of just thrown in there completely haphazardly in the movie. And I have to admit that I am irritated at the way the movie just skips over the character's Muslim heritage, even though that's one of the major religions as somebody who believes in all gods should tackle, and you just skip over it because Islam is so unpopular to American audiences. And I'm like, how about you challenge those notions instead of just caving like that? That annoyed me.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I've actually, to be honest, full disclosure, I've actually never read the book, and it's certainly a book I should have read, and I've seen Yann Martel speak on a couple occasions, and the thing is, he rubbed me such the wrong way that
I'm not gonna read your book, man.
Because I'm sure he's following my reading habits. All right, guys, the last category, the biggest category, Best Picture. So we've got quite a few choices this time.
We've got 10 choices again with the friggin'
9. Learn to count, sir.
9?
9.
Yeah.
Why 9?
Because 10 didn't make it.
Because they have specific rules. It's this number of people have to vote for it as their number one movie. So the way it works now, it ends up with the number of nominations it ends up with, and that's it.
All it is,
which is interesting.
Yeah,
all it is, and I've said this before, it's a pretext for Hollywood to have more movies so they can have they nominated for Best Picture so they can boost the audience. They're just basically
But that's what the Oscars are for. They're about creating buzz for the industry.
Limit yourself to 5. There should be 5. There should not be 9 or 10 or 5 is enough to have an argument. Seriously, 7, 8, really? I don't know.
Every time they do this, there's only really 5 real ones, and the other 4 are sort of oh, you sort of noticed, man.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, exactly. So you're allowed to, exactly. Some of them are just nods, Yeah. Okay, so we've got Amour, Argo, Beasts of the Southern Wild, Django Unchained, Les Miserables, Life of Pi, Lincoln, Silver Linings Playbook, and Zero Dark 30. Now, if you've been listening so far, a lot of these titles have come up in the other categories,
and a lot of them have not. So you know which ones are the
exactly.
I will say it. I don't understand. I don't understand how Django Unchained can make this category, and I don't understand how the reviewers. Last time I checked, it had 81%.
You know why it made the category? Because the average age of the people in the Oscars, in the Academy, I think, is 56. So they've all voted for Lincoln. And the people who are 25 voted for Django Unchained.
There are people in the Academy that are 25?
I don't know.
Lincoln. It's the heavyweight. It's going to win. That's who I think is going to win. I do not. I can go and say who I don't want to win. I've already named one. I will also say that Argo should not. I would be very pleasantly surprised if Life of Pi did win. I think Zero Dark 30, I don't think it has a lot of hope to cause a major upset / surprise, but who knows? In this particular year, who knows? Well, I think it's going to be Lincoln. I really think it is. But, first surprise would be Life of Pi, and second major upset, massive surprise would be Zero Dark 30.
I don't know. For me, Amul got the nom for Best Foreign Film. It's probably going to win there. It's the fact that it's even in Best Picture is kind of amazing, but it's certainly not going to win it. Django Unchained, I think, is too divisive.
It's too bad, man.
And Lincoln, I think, is very unifying. I think it's certainly going to win it. You know what I mean? For me, it was a very competently done film. It's not a film I necessarily wanted to see, and I've still not sat through the whole thing. I work in subtitles, so I've worked in parts of it, and I've kind of dipped in and out, and I can see that it's well done, but it's just I don't know, nothing that kind of would really drag me to the theater. But I can see. No, it's not that. It's just I don't know. It's just
meh.
I don't know. It's a little bit too. It felt heavy-handed, and it's just you kind of know where it's going, and I really didn't like the ending, to be honest. So
that is historically accurate.
Exactly. But I felt like it could. Meaning, I think it could have ended a couple other places.
Yeah.
It didn't need to end there. It just the fact that it ended there was almost like a tired and this is my historical biopic ending,
Well, yeah, but I think that was intentional, in fairness, because it starts with a biopic beginning and ends with a biopic ending, but at the middle, it actually focuses on a particular issue in his life. Mm-hmm. So I think that those bookends were sort of intentional.
It's possible. I prefer the biofilm to really, the ones that just kind of zero in on, 2 weeks of a person's life. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I kind of like those ones, the Frost Nixons and, the whatever, you know what I mean?
That time that Lincoln went on a bender.
Yeah, exactly. Just
out in the woods, talking to the bears, who comes back.
The missing
president.
Agatha Christie's Missing Weekend. Just that one little bit. You know what I mean? But the thing is, it's a perfectly well done movie. It's got so many good performances. It's by a really good director. There was just good choices all the way through. It's gonna win.
Just because you guys are both going for Lincoln, which is probably the surest bet, but I'm just gonna go with Silver Linings.
Oh, really? I haven't heard of that film. Tell me more about it.
Tell me more. and not because I wanted to win.
You would give it to them.
I think they will give it to them.
Really?
Yeah. Here's the thing. Zero Dark 30, too much controversy attached to it. Django Unchained, too much controversy attached to it. So that leaves these three: Silver Linings, Playbook, Life of Pi, and Lincoln. Now, last year's Oscar was boring as all get out, predictable to no end. It's just everybody wanted to shoot themselves in the forehead. It was just shoot. And I think the Academy is just going to go I'm going to vote for the dark horse. And everybody's going to expect either Lincoln or Life of Pi to get it. And anybody who's feeling rebellious on that day in the Academy is going to go for Silver Linings. And I think it's going to win.
That would be the Silver Lining. Aha.
They're certainly not going to vote for a Chinese director.
Well, in this climate, honestly, in this climate, the way you hear the American media talk about the Chinese, oh my God!
No, I'm not saying that China isn't popular. I'm just saying that I think they can differentiate between a Chinese director and China.
To be honest, I wonder if they do. Though I wonder. Actually, speaking of someone who kind of works in the industry a little bit, you know what I mean, but very much on the far fringe. It would be interesting if they did choose Life of Pi, because there's so much money going into basically trying to break into that market right now.
That's the thing too.
Yes, that's a good argument.
So if they can use this even as a marketing thing of listen, blah blah blah. I don't know what they would say, but it's just that would actually be kind of interesting, because I bet you half the people in the Academy right now are lobbying to get their film as one of the 20 or 40, I think it is. I think it's 20 that are allowed into the Chinese market. And
that's it. So if you have your own opinions about the Oscars you want to share with us, write us at mail@thedreamersedge.com or post a comment at thedreamersedge.com. So tune in next time when we talk about the best of the 80s in our two-part conversation. And
in the meantime, join our Facebook page. Click like, comment. We want to hear what you're thinking. Just, click like.
Absolutely. I'm actually hosting the thing.
All I have to say is I'm kind of holding out for Quagmire.
All right. Anywho, so what we're going to do for this episode, we're going to go run through the major categories. We're going to skip a lot of them because, honestly, we just don't care.
Yeah. Come on. Who are we kidding?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Let's not go right into the major one, but let's go pretty top. We'll go leading actor. So for leading actor, we've got Bradley Cooper in Silver Linings Playbook, Daniel Day-Lewis in Lincoln, Hugh Jackman in Les Miserables, Joaquin Phoenix in The Master, and Denzel Washington in Flight.
I'd love it for Brad Cooper to get some love. I actually thought he was really, really good in Silver Linings Playbook. But I think that it's Denzel Washington's this one. I mean, like, as much as it's shocking that Daniel Day-Lewis might not walk away with it for once, but I think it would be Denzel Washington's. The Flight has gotten a lot of buzz, and it's always about his performance and nothing else, because the script is kind of thin.
Yeah, no, I think Lincoln's going to do well in other categories, and it's certainly the coming out of the Golden Globes and a lot of the other award shows already. It's already getting the attention, so I think it's going to get its service there for sure. Joaquin Phoenix, in my mind, I'm not sure if everyone likes him again yet after his whole avant-garde thing. So I think he's gonna
he faked it.
He faked it, but was everyone in on the joke? I think the people who weren't in on the joke might kind of be thinking he's a bit of an ass. I don't know. I think the part was interesting. Certainly, it was a movie made of just performances, and his was amazing in it. Bradley Cooper, you're right. Glad he.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Dreamer's Edge podcast. I'm sitting with
Chris, subtitling editor and writer for the Dreamer's Edge.
Francois, who is a librarian and part-time collaborator.
And I'm Dimitri, webmaster of thedreamersedge.com and movie critic. And I almost forgot my name there for a second. It was weird.
I am.
And today what we're doing our annual Oscar Whiner podcast. That's the 2013 edition.
So we have a lot to whine about.
Yeah, I think so. The world having not ended and all, we're
caught unawares.
I blew all my savings for no reason.
And I'm disappointed that I'm actually going to sit through Seth MacFarlane.
Hollywood hero fare overcomes adversity type of thing. Like there are a number of flaws. Like I think Denzel is really good in it, but I will say that. I have no doubt that Daniel Day-Lewis is going to walk away.
Really?
I think he is a major towering figure. Whenever he goes for an Oscar, he's hard to stop. I think he's the heavyweight, and I think he's going to walk away with it. And particularly playing a figure like Lincoln. Let's face it. I mean, it does take a lot to really bring something new to the role, and I think he does.
I agree. I just think that his vampire hunting was a little bit unconvincing. So
come on, the whole fighting style. It really, if you look at it, he wouldn't have been using those moves then because
totally, man. And wire work wasn't invented in 1865.
There you go.
He's getting the nod here. I don't think he necessarily deserves it. For me, it's Denzel Washington as well. It's not a great film. It's not a perfect film in any way, but it was just a really good adult drama. And he plays the part well. It's a very conflicted character, and I liked it a lot.
Absolutely.
I will say that I liked Flight. I liked Denzel in it. I thought it was somewhat of an uncommon performance for him. I mean, he's a leading actor. I'm not sure if I should go into a heavy spoiler alert, but let's just say that the character disappoints. Not the actor playing the character. The character himself is a flawed character, deeply flawed character.
Yeah, I think we get that out of the trailer though, so it's fine.
Well, to a certain extent, but I mean, like he really, as the movie progresses, it goes in a direction which you might not necessarily expect if you're hoping for the happy-go-lucky sort of typical.